Hello. Hello, Instagram. It is me. No. Yeah, we need to be a little bit lower. We need to be right on the camera. Anyways, hello. I'm getting set up over here for unrelated things. Alright, so Instagram, you got me all by yourself. Not sure what's going with my OBS studio. There's all these weird errors. I use that in the same setup so many times. So many times I've used that same setup and it's been fine. And now it's not fine. I'm using the same setting, same setup. Anyways, the name of this live is It's All Mirage, So Have Fun, aka if you ever meet the Buddha, kill him. Which sounds very violent and aggressive, but obviously we're not actually talking about literally killing the Buddha. It's more about we're killing concepts. So, Happy New Year to everybody out there in digital internet land. Is that analog internet that I'm speaking to? But yeah, so Mirage, I recently have been reading a book called The Way of the Bodhisattva by Shantideva. Classic Buddhist text about the Bodhisattva path, right? Gave me a lot of great insight situations. Damn, look at that mountain goat. It's a thing on my desktop. That's a badass mountain goat. Can I take a picture of this? Damn, with this piece of fur, water repellent. Damn, okay. Out here. Anyways, so in this book, in Buddhism, they'll often refer to this existence as illusions, right? Illusory. But Shantideva, he uses the word mirage many times. And that's quite a departure. Usually I'll just, by just the fact that I've read lots of Buddhism, use the term illusion. But something about mirage, I don't know, it really drove it home in a different way the more I thought about it. Because a mirage, right? That was one of the things I was going to do. I was going to look up the definition of mirage to start this discussion. So let's do that. I don't know, for lack of a better term, mirage feels more personal when you say a mirage. Which also... Huh? Did I ever see this? Who was in this? Interesting. There's some movie. Oh, interesting. Some movie from 2018 about this woman. She saved some kid's life, and then her daughter's gone, and now she's like, fuck. Shouldn't have saved that boy's life from 25 years ago. But it seems interesting. Anyways, but the mirage, we want the definition, folks. Okay, an optical illusion caused by atmospheric conditions, especially the appearance of a sheet of water in a desert or hot road, caused by the fraction of light from the sky by heated air. Wow, we don't need to know all that, but it's an optical illusion caused by atmospheric conditions. I think that's the part we need to focus on, right? An optical illusion caused by atmospheric conditions. And so let's focus on optical and conditions. We can drop illusion and atmospheric for now, right? So optical, we could just say visual, right? And conditions, we could say circumstance or context or I don't know. There's many different ways. But that kind of brings it home for me because, okay, an illusion, there's many different types of illusions. Illusions this, illusions that, right? It's a superfluous, I don't know if that's the word I need, but it's a term that has many different examples out, but not all illusions are the same. And so kind of describing it as that it comes about by certain conditions. That was another thing they talked about that I'm like, oh yeah, because I was reading some Gnostic shit that was talking about how most people, shit just happens to them. Really think about your life. Because this fucked me up when I thought long and hard about this. Look at your life. And realistically, it was actually a series of happenings and not really you doing that much. You really didn't do that much. Shit just happened to you, right? And it's kind of the notion that you want to regain conscious control, or mindful authority. What's the phrase just came to me? Over your life, where it's like when you're actually doing something, when you're actually making waffles, you're actually there making the waffles. You're not making waffles and thinking about taxes. You're not making waffles and having an argument in your head. You're with the waffles. You are the waffles, right? Me and Anne made a joke last night about a chef who like rejects the title of chef. And what they would say, like, they're like, oh man, I just show up. The food does all the work, right? But there is something to that, right? Not necessarily rejecting the chef title, but there is something to that where the food knows what needs to be done, and the chef is just kind of carrying out that and making an amazing dish. But the chef actually is just, they're actually not doing shit when they're like really in lines with the situation, right? When the conditions are aligned, in the opposite sense, you could say, from what we're talking about, which is the mirage. But in the enlightened sense, then when conditions arise, it's like, yo, it's not even, you don't even have to be like, yo, and like, here's what I need to do. I know what I need to do. It's like, it bypasses all that. That's why I truly think enlightenment is. It's when you could just walk in somewhere and you have no reference points of wherever you walked into. You don't know anybody there. You don't know what the culture like is in there. You have no idea about the place you went to, but you can instantly just move with the flow of it. And like, I was trying to think of different ways to describe this. And I was like, enlightenment is knowing what every situation needs in the moment is kind of what I came to, because it's not even about you, right? That's how like in the flow of it you are, because you're not even, who's Bosh Gibson? There's just spiritual energy that's sometimes referenced as Posh Gibson over in those conditions over there, in alignment. That's what's happening. So, to bring it back to Mirage kind of gives a good, I guess, focal point of understanding the illusions we're all under, right? Because it's like a mirage is like a physical phenomenon, quote unquote. It's a phenomenon of our five senses. We could have auditory hallucinations, but it's like, this is the shit, folks. This is the shit. Everyone has, I would say, some sort of rocker switch. I don't think that's the right switch I need to be discussing, but has a fader, a crossfader, in terms of their veil, right? And I feel the issue a lot of people run into is their crossfader is a little bit more open veil crossfader, right? And being in just mundane Malkuth society, if you're just, let's say there's a middle percentile, right? Like it's a bell curve, right? Just as above, so below, right? There's a bell curve for people's veils being more or less open, right? Most people are kind of gonna fit within a standard range, right? In terms of how much ethereal activity comes over and says what's up, right? Any sort of form, any of the five senses and then beyond that, right? Now, if your spiritual crossfader is open way more, you're gonna have a lot more knocks at your door for sugar from the other side, and that's a lot to deal with in a society, that has a culture that is like, oh, that's happening. Oh, okay. Here's what we do, right? Let alone a culture that's like, what, that's happening? You need to be drugged and locked up. And, I mentioned before about, what is that book? So I couldn't reach it last time, so I'm going to get it this time. Where is it? Where is that book? Oh, come on. Wait, did I take it off the shelf? No. No. Damn, where's this book? Huh. It's called, I think it'd be right there with that book. Interesting. Huh. Hold on, folks. No, not that book. It's so funny. Where is that book? This is annoying me. I know I just saw it. Ah, jeez. All right, we're back. Okay, so this book, Healing States, Alberto Villoldo, I don't think I've ever pronounced it, I thought it was spelled differently, and Stanley Krippner, right? It's called Healing States, A Journey into the World of Spiritual Healing and Shamanism. And part of this book, they go to a hospital in Brazil where it's like a psychic hospital. And they work with people who are having psychic crises, right? And, kind of figure out what's going on, just like a regular hospital. If you come with certain symptoms, they're like, okay, we think it's this. Let's check this out, right? But yeah, their contention is that most people in psychiatric hospitals, like a large majority, they just have psychic, just bawling psychic powers that are just out here, and no guidance, no toolage on how to deal with those and interact with spirits and all that sort of shit. I kind of think of it like this: the spirits, like, what, they got a Corvette in the garage and they're just not even using it. They have a Corvette in the garage and they're not even using it. Right? That's how I feel like spiritual entities, if you're like someone who is psychically very open, right? What happens? They're like, ooh, yeah, no, we gotta. It's like they're not even using any of this. What? And so they want a piece. They want a piece of the action. If you aren't in tune to using them, it's like, ooh, even better. These are all my speculations, but it'd be the same way. I think the same mindset with something here. Like, what? He's not even using that. Well, I'll just take it out for quick spin around the block. He won't even notice. He barely drives it. And then they possess you. Maybe. But the point is, it's all a mirage, right? No matter, I don't care if it's the coolest, most insightful, most delicious, most awesome, intelligent thought you've ever had or ever heard. It's still a mirage. That's the hilarious thing about it. That's why it's like, oh, just have fun. Like, if you know it's a mirage, right? Even just like it really doesn't matter what it is. It could be the most just enlightened thought, the most negative, destructive thought. It really doesn't matter. They're all mirages. Where did they come from? If you can answer that, then you can disprove that they're mirages. If you can tell me where thoughts come from, and just keep going, like, oh, well, they come from my mind. Okay, and then, well, my brain has these words that it generates, and then blah, blah, blah. Okay, and then there's electrical signals, I'm sure, involved. Okay, and then before the electrical signals, some smaller electrical signals. Okay, and then before the smaller electrical signals, even smaller electrical signals. Okay, sure, I'll give you that. Then where do those electrical signals come from? Where do they go? Where do they come from? Nowhere. The answer is nowhere. Okay, so all this shit is mirages. All this shit you see is mirages, right? And it's hilarious. It's just, that's part of the reason why I just really enjoy lots of parts of existence, because it's just so hilarious to me. Just all these mirages are just out here, and it's just so funny. And, and this is kind of like the irony of it, where something can be very beautiful, but also very damaging to you. Something can also look very ugly, but also, or taste terrible, like, ugh, that doesn't taste good, but be healthy as fuck for you, right? And, oh, that person looks like this or whatever, but they could be the person who, is the first person you fall in love with in your fucking entire life, These are all mirages, right? And especially if you look at the opposite of things, where, like, The more beautiful a celebrity is, the more I think they're actually stealing people's souls. That's my stance now. If you're an ugly IT person, you're probably the sweetest of sweethearts. Sometimes, sometimes beautiful people are sweethearts, and also sometimes people of asymmetrical faces are terrible people. It goes both ways, folks. But don't get sweet talked in the other way. I've said it before. The world turns true geniuses into idiots and makes idiots seem like true geniuses. That's the con. And you're included in that, making you think you're not, like you got nothing to offer. You're an expert of your own life, hopefully, I would hope. If not you, then, well, by default, it has to be you. there's no way it couldn't be you, even if it's like you get 65 on the self-knowledge quiz. You're still doing the best, unless someone could beat you in your own self-knowledge quiz. I don't know what that would say about a person. Like if someone took a test about questions about someone else's life, it's all verified, right? Like things, names, addresses, classes, romance, like just A to Z, right? And someone did like not just better, but like remarkably better than the other person. I'd be like, okay, is that person, are they astral projecting? How are they getting all this information? How do they know all this shit? Or is this person just not know themselves and just doesn't remember? But also it's like they got to recall about themselves, but it's yourself. You should be able to recall information about yourself. If there's one situation where you should be able to recall information, is about your own life. Now, I don't remember lots of things, but I mean, most should I remember. I mean, I should remember my own life better than I remember a movie I've seen, I would hope. Anyways, we're getting off track here anyway. Folks, the point is Instagram, you fucking folks, is that it's all a mirage. And that's why us occultist folks out here, we like to take advantage of this mirage and just have fun with it. It's like, oh, it's a mirage anyway. So might as well do some experiments on this fucking mirage. Let's see what's going on. If I do this, cover my foot with an acorn and dirt, will I get the woman of my dreams? That's not an actual ritual, but it could be. In this new book, it's called Rituals. No. Hey, if I do that ritual and then I meet an amazing woman and I have amazing romance with her and I could correlate the two events, then maybe there's something to it. But you know what they say, you can't win if you don't play. So that's what magic is. It's playing with the mirage. It's dancing with it. It's not being like letting the mirage dance on us. No, bitch. Hey, mirage, this is what we're doing. Okay? It's a mirage anyway. It's like already like a trickster, right? You think of it like that. A trickster archetype, mirage, because it's like, it's playing jokes. It's like, ha, oh, you thought it was this, I'm that. Ha ha. Tee. So, you experiment with this mirage, right? And you don't take anything seriously because it's a mirage. Anything someone says to you is a mirage from someone else's mind. So why would you take that any more seriously than mirage from your mind, right? You could like, okay, they said this, right? It doesn't mean you don't like trust people. It doesn't mean you're like, I don't know. Everything's a mirage, right? You don't get paranoid, but you understand that everything is essentially hollow just inherently by just it being something of this world. Plain and simple. It's hollow because it's thoughts and words and just there's no substance to any of this. To your body. Where's your arm from? Trace that back. Where did it originate from? Electrical impulses, and then before electrical impulses, what we got? Exactly. So, start just opening the shit up and being like, I know this is kind of like, for me, I know that I'm just saying this so callously, and just so like, oh yeah, just take all this shit as a grain of salt. Not even a grain of salt, because that's a mirage, okay? I've kind of been on this journey for a while, so it's very easy for me to expand my awareness on shit. Like, I was thinking about my consciousness when I first moved to Hartford, and not that my consciousness was like toxic, but it's like, oh man, like I cringed, like if I went on a date with you then, and I didn't feel like I was like terrible, but it's like that's how much of my consciousness I've let go in that amount of time, where it's like I feel just much more open, where it's like if I go on a date, it's going to be just so much more of a beautiful experience. I'm sure it's beautiful. The dates I went on during that time. But my point is, it's just like I know how much I've let go of my consciousness over that period of time. It expanded my awareness too. It's very stark. Just like looking back, it's like, ugh, might as well have been in high school when I feel about my consciousness 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And that was even before all this mirage talk, because it's like, there's certain shit in Buddhism that for many years I was like, oh, they're being funny, right? And I was like, oh, hee hee, they said it like this, oh, ha ha ha, ha ha tee hee, right? And now more recently, I'm like, oh, they were like being so literal, like like almost so literal that it seems like they weren't being literal. But they were like, no, bitch, this is literally what's up. Just, this is what it is. There's no way to really say it without saying it. But, at the end of the day, it's like, even that's a mirage, right? Because it's like the experience of it, that's the true teacher, right? People talk around it, but it's like the experience is the thing that can never be named. So, furthermore, Instagram, just treat everything, hey, god damn it. Oh, a mirage. Okay, it's all a mirage. A mirage? Yeah, a mirage. I don't know why that sounds strange. It's all, I guess if you say it's all a mirage versus it's all a mirage, it sounds differently, So, anyways. It's all a mirage, so I'll have fun. This is the playing with it, It's just, and this is also the part where you learn about yourself, about the shit in the mirage-matrix, Malkuth-matrix. I got another M in there, because I was saying Malkuth-matrix, that's my go-to, but now I can add mirage, woo, baby. Malkuth-mirage-matrix, or matrix-malkuth-mirage. We'll figure it out. The point is, people, folks, negroids and negresses, whiteys, Asians, and all gods known and unknown, and goddesses known and unknown, past, present, future, and beyond. My ankle got hot when I said that. You know what that means, folks. I don't know. Means warm ankles. I got sexy, sexy warm ankles. That was my name growing up. They called me Warm Ankles, W-A. Posh Warm Ankles Gibson. And also they called me Hot Ankles, Hot Anky, Hot Ankanks. I don't know, various names in the music cult streets when I was growing up. But yeah, Warm Ankles. We're out here. So, that's why, let's get to the quotes in the name of the title. If you ever meet Buddha, you kill him. You kill him. Right? What does that even mean? I don't know if I'm supposed to explain these, but this is my understanding. Who cares? We can't just sit on koans for fucking 90 years anymore. We got fucking spiritual development to get to. All right, folks? Okay? We can't just be like, la-di-da, what does that koan mean? No. We got fucking spiritual development to get to. We got fucking occult practice to get to, okay? This is the opposite energy you should have when doing all these things, by the way. That's the bit I'm doing. Because I have this whole thing now about dancing versus marching, about how the mind always, like when we want to rebalance something, right? Where it's like, oh, I've been here's something everybody can relate to. Oh, I've been eating healthy. Oh, I need to exercise and eat healthier, right? The mind is like, oh yeah. And the ego will just take over and be like, yes, bitch, you need to do this, right? It'll turn into a sort of like aggression, but like under the guise of like, oh no, we're getting healthy, but like there's that seed of aggression based on how you felt, originally that led to the thought of like, yo, I want to get in shape. And it's like that back and forth, right? It's like that low place. It's like, oh, I feel like a piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. To like, oh yeah, I do need to get it together, right? And like kind of, they're both gross, right? Not, and it's like, essentially you want to get out of that back and forth relationship, right? And you want to understand the underlying emotional and psychological elements that's leading to that back and forth. Right? That's the thing. You want to understand the whole cycle, not half cycle. Right? You can't do anything with half cycle. Oh, okay. I do this. Anyways, half cycle. Right? You need the whole cycle. You need to see the whole thing. The seed that turns into a tree. Then you want to trap that tree down. Then you want to use it for firewood to cook the seeds from the next harvest, and then you turn that into popcorn, and then you get sick from the popcorn, and then you have to go to the hospital, and you bring the firewood to the hospital, and you're eating the firewood at the hospital, and people are like, why are you eating this firewood in the hospital? First of all, what makes firewood firewood? Except that it's wood that can be burned. So technically, isn't all wood firewood? Yes, the answer is yes. You passed. You did it. Back to the quote. So, if you ever meet Buddha, kill him, right? What the fuck does that mean? What's going on? I don't know about not having time for koans. That was funny. What does that mean? It means that your minds, your beautiful, precious, sexy, sexy minds will come up with whatever the concept of Buddha and present it to yourself, right? Like, because someone looks like Buddha does not mean they're Buddha, one. Two, who the fuck cares? Who cares? And this is what is meant by the mirage. I don't care if it's the Pope, your mother, your greatest foe. If you have a foe, you're doing a lot. First of all, not even an enemy, you got a foe. Your greatest foe, a 5-year-old baby. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who or what it is. All mirages. All mirages, right? Individual mirages, but still mirages at the end of the day, right? There's no such thing as part-time mirages. It's all mirage or it's none of it's a mirage. There's going to be part-time mirages. Oh, we're just miraging over here. No. So you gotta either pick your side. You're either like, yo, this is all mirage-matrix, and I'm wrapping my head around that, or you're like, nope, this is all real, right? What real means to you, and that could even get, what is real? How are you defining real? This is the one time where I would love if people were in the chat. I don't normally say that, and I feel like my mind just did a weird thing where like, it was like, you just said that? Like, what? I just went into another dimension because that was strange because I don't normally say that. But I would like to know what how do you define real? How do you define real in your life? I don't mean like, yeah, what I got with Shorty, yeah, that's real. No. Well, okay, how are you defining that as real? But I'm talking about just that there's even a thing with Shorty. What does it ever then mean? How is that real? And what are you basing this on? This realness of anything, of your hair, of, say, oh, I can touch it. Oh, that's great. There's a lot of shit I can't touch that's realer to me than shit I can touch. These are floating molecules and floating electrons with endless space in between them, right? So even just on an astrophysics plane alone, which is regular everyday objects, you know what I'm saying? We know this shit's a mirage, right? But, dear viewer, dear whatever the fuck you are, dear Mirage, we don't actually take it seriously in our day-to-day life. And I think that's always what it's about. You can be out here, yeah, this is all false reality in a matrix and blah, blah, blah. But you still be given lots of matrix, mirage, malkuth shit, all the power, all the whatever energy Give a lot of energy to mirages. And I think that's one of the biggest tricks is to understand what mirages just, man, the ones that really suck you in, where you're like, yo, I was convinced I saw water, dog. Yo, I know I saw water. I swear I saw water. That's why when I, like, after I was listening to this book and I was thinking about the concept of mirage versus illusion, there's a song by, I believe her name is Alex Vaughn, called Mirage. And it was funny because I was walking, I was listening to the song, and I just heard how she was describing it. And she's like, yo, like, I thought it was this, but maybe I'm seeing something else. And I was just like, ooh, yeah, like, where's she going with this? And I looked at the song, I was like, ooh, Mirage. And I was like, yes, bitch. And it was just such a beautiful, I mean, she was talking about, like, with some dude, right, where he was a mirage. She thought he was this way, but actually it was like this in reality. But listen, that's like a very common mirage that people have to deal with is fucking relationships. Because, you know, when people are courting each other and they're first interacting, everyone's on their best behavior, right? Everyone's, you know, doing their best impression of, this is a good person. They're doing their best impression. But, you know, all it takes is some, you know, some ego clinging mixed with some emotionality. And then, you know, it's like, oh, what? This is how you react when there's not enough eggs? Oh, boy. Jeez. I knew I should have ate those eggs. So, you gotta kill Buddha. You gotta kill the concept of whatever the fuck concept your mind came up with in that movement. Like, I was thinking about what the version of Buddha my mind would come up with if Buddha appeared in front of me. I think it would be like a cool Buddha where, like, maybe, oh, what would they be wearing? I said Dickies and like a Negro Leagues jersey. I don't know. Maybe not. But yeah, that's something your mind came up with, and doesn't mean it can't. That thing, that Buddha that, you know, appeared before you, it doesn't mean you can't listen and be like, oh, okay, all right, thank you, see ya. You know, it doesn't mean like, oh, shoo, go away, mirage, right? It's like you still have an openness, you still have a tenderness for whatever occurs, right? Unless they're just mean, you know, it's a mean Buddha. That'd be funny. Hey, I'm mean Buddha. You ever heard of me? Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up and meditate. Mean Buddha. That would be a funny character, mean Buddha. Just like, he's like always just like, shut the fuck up and meditate. Mean Buddha. Hey. Shut the fuck up and meditate. Mean Buddha. And so in closing, kill the fucking Buddha. Alright? Did you do it yet? Have you done it? Is the Buddha dead yet? Because I'd sure like him to be. I'd sure like him to be. No, I'm talking about the actual Buddha. Is he dead? Can we kill him? Because he needs to die. As a concept. But seriously, that's a huge part of the spiritual path, the occult path, is killing the concept that are in your mind, right? Where you can have concepts in your mind about like, oh, the two-party system works. You gotta kill that. Well, you don't have to do shit, except do whatever your fucking free will guides you to. But, you know, if you want to overcome your mind control, you'll obliterate that concept of a two-party system, right? But hey, if you want your mind control, if you're all about Team Earth, Team Human, go for it. Just go for it. Because I'm like that, this is a dark, semi-dark analogy, but it's like, I'm like that friend who's like, don't date that dude. Like, he's bad news. Like, I don't know, like, he's just bad news. And then they go and date that dude and they fucking get abused. And it's like, I told you not to date that dude. That's how I feel about anyone who's involved in politics, activism. I'm saying don't date that dude. That's my stance. Don't date that dude because it's only going to lead to a cycle of your own trauma and victimization. Just dealing with those systems. At the end of the day, it's not even about the people who are in those systems. It's about just kind of what it generates and activates in you. So, kill the Buddha. I'm out. Yeah, it's all mirage, so have fun. Go do some rituals or something, kids. All right, bye.